So the first thing we're going to do to set you up for your starting your sales process is to import all of your existing bookings and inquiries into Sonas. So we have an import template to assist you in doing this. You locate the template by going down to Company, Imports, and up here you see under Actions, there's 3 imports that are supported by Sonas. Right now we're doing the import events. We're going to click on that. And here's where you can locate the CSV. So you click on that to download it, and then you can open it up in Excel, Google Sheet, whatever your choice is. I have one open in Google Sheets right now. So here's what the example template looks like. And let's just go through each column here. So the type is your event type. You set up what event types were allowed in your venue in the venue setup. So this name of the event type does need to correspond with the names, the spelling, etc. on your approved event types. The status needs to match the statuses within Sonas. So you can have exhausted. So those are inquiries that have said no. Idled. So inquiries that basically ghosted you. They have not said yes, but they have not said no. Inquiry, so an active inquiry. Date on hold, so they have a date held in the calendar. Confirmed pending, so that implies like a contract's been sent and you're waiting for a signed contract and or booking fee. Confirmed. And then we also have completed if you want to put past events in, and we have canceled. So make sure those match. Then your venue initials, as you set up on your venue setup. Areas. Now, if you leave areas blank, this will assume exclusive use. But if you're allowing multiple areas or areas to be used for multiple events on the same day, you want to put in the area. Now, if you were to go multiple areas, I could do the Q croft, so Q being the venue initials, croft is the area name, and then I can put in the gazebo. And that would associate this reservation with both of those areas. While empty is exclusive use, one area, one area. Event name is optional. Okay, so type required, status required, venue initials required. Areas, if it's blank, it's exclusive use, but you have to put the areas if you want just one area associated or less than your all areas. Event name is completely optional. If you do not put an event name, it will just default to the customer's name. Event date. This is only required for date on hold through canceled. Okay, so if you are in an inquiry, you don't have an event date. You might have their date desired, but you don't have a date on the calendar. So if you do put a date under event date for inquiry or idle, it will flag you as an error. And look at the formatting. The formatting on this is going to be year dash month date. Okay, this is required. This is not how dates are formatted in Sonas, but this is the date formatting required for importation. Event date, end date, excuse me, only if it's a multi-day event, otherwise leave blank. Inquiry date, this is required. And if you don't know your inquiry dates, you can just put a holding date like 2022-0202 or whatever. But putting accurate inquiry dates will allow you to start utilizing this data on reporting. Ceremony time, if you have it, and look how it's formatted. It's just the hour and minute using a 24-hour. Confirmation date is optional. Again, putting the confirmation date in allows you to start reporting on that date. So the confirmation date is when you've marked that event as confirmed. So not the date that they're booked for, but the date their booking was complete. Reference is optional if you use a reference number. The inquiry source, make sure they match the inquiry sources as set out in your setup from company categories. Heard about us, optional. Again, match the options you set up in company categories. event labels, if you have any set up, such as vegan, VIP, maybe you're using package name as event labels, but this is optional. Only put numbers in if it is a non-guest list wedding or event, excuse me. So only put guest numbers in if you are going off of guest numbers and do not have the guest list turned on. Otherwise, leave blank. Then we have the customers. You must have at least one customer, type, name, surname, and email to import an event. That's the minimum requirement. And customer type will be bride, groom, or client. Name, first name, surname, email. They must have an email, and the email is the customer identifier in Sonas. So having an email is critical and required. You can optionally put in their company name, customer code if you use a customer code, phone number, and then we have customer 2, which would be the type, name, surname, email. Now, if you put in name, surname, that's fine. But if you put an email, you must have a surname in. So you can even put TBD if you don't know the surname at this point. And then again, the company name, if applicable, customer code, phone number. Notes, if you want to paste any notes in. And then you have your custom fields. So there's up to 20 custom fields available in Sonas. So if you're using any of those are available here as well. And you could go all the way up to custom field 9. And that is your template. So once you have this complete, you can download it and then upload it into Sonas. I do recommend that you test with 3 or 4 to begin with. Just make sure that you have that correct and you have that mapped as you wish. So you'll have that information here. You'll download it. So this is Google Sheets. I'll just go to File, Download, and then it'll be ready to upload into. Okay, so I'm now going to import a couple events so I can show you how that works. So we're going to go Actions, Import Events from File. And at this point, I'm just going to drag my download here, or you can click on that box and open it up. And here's what's called mapping. So we just want to make sure that the template fields and the fields in your file do in fact match. So we just want to go through and make sure that everything is looking correct. We don't have the held on date on the template, so we'll get that updated here. But you can add that column of held on date, and basically this is the date which the date on hold was put. So not the event date, so the event date would be the date that's being held, but which date they put that hold on. And that allows you to run reports on how long dates have been on hold, or allows you to say, that date's been held for 7 days, it's time to release it or whatnot. So we don't have that column, so we'll leave that blank. Confirmation, event date. Everything else is looking good. So this is called mapping. We're just making sure everything is going across. Now we have red is implying that there is an error. Okay, so here is because I had an extra row, or I didn't clear out all the information, so I'm just going to clear that out here. Now, if you have a good bit of rows that you're importing and you see that there's errors and you don't want to go through each page of 10 to find the errors, you can actually just filter down to show invalid rows only, so you can see where there's things you need to fix. So it's not liking how I did this. So if I look here, it didn't want the space between the dash and the area name. So now I can remove how I did it and leave on the one it likes. And now the red is gone. So if you didn't do the date correctly, you'd have to redo the date. But now I don't have any errors. I'm going to hit submit. And it's thinking. And now I have my rate. And in my imports, I get a status that imported to. I had no failures. Every once in a while, you will get things come in like bulk import with errors, like right here, where it imported 1 and failed with 4, and it tells you why it failed. These had failed because there was existing events. So on the bulk import, it does assume that there's 1 event per email address. So if you have a customer with multiple events, you will need to manually enter the additional events. So you'll be able to import in bulk one event under that email address, but anything else you'll have to manually put in. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So all of mine are in. If I go to activities, I can see that my event was imported. I can see the note was created associated with it. So the two events, the Sarah Smith and Emma Jones, they're in. When I open this up, it automatically has an event label of the import. So if you don't want that, you can take it off. And then once we have a few more things to put in, and we're ready to invite people into portals and stuff, we'll go through and make sure all the information is correct. But this way, our calendar is now correct. So we can kind of move forward with our sales process. On the next video, we're going to go over marketing consent and how to manage that. So definitely check that out. But this is how you're going to get all of your imports in and update that calendar. Now, a few things just want to share with you really quickly. If you want to see what event types you can have, so on that import, if you go to venues, here you're going to see what your venue name is and your venue initials. So those are the initials to use. If you open it up and go to event types, you'll see your event types that you've allowed and how they're spelled, how they're capitalized. So you want to use that. When you go to your areas, you'll see how you've spelled each of your areas. And keep in mind for like Holly Hotel as HH- Astor Ballroom, no spaces between the HH- and the dash and the Astor. So that was no spaces. We learned that. And then on your statuses, if we go up to events, if you look at your inquiry statuses, here you'll see inquiry, date on hold, exhausted, idle. And from your list of events, confirmed, pending, confirmed, completed, canceled. So that will remind you there of what those options are. And as a reminder for what your inquiry source is, if you go down to categories under company, inquiry source, here's your inquiry sources. And your heard about us. And your event labels if you've created any already. Okay, so I know this is a lot of work to get that spreadsheet filled out. It is a good process because it's also an opportunity to audit information that you might be missing off existing bookings, inquiries, etc. You can also split it up in that you can import just confirmed events in one batch, and then you can put in your completed later, your inquiries later, so you don't have to do them all at once. You can batch them by status if you want to or whatnot. But that is how you import, and please let us know if you have any questions.